Good morning, party people. This is Thursday. It's Thursday already. God, Thursday, January 3rd, 2019. This is Pop Culture Review presents the Daily Download. I'm Mike from PopCultureReview.com. Follow me on Twitter at PopCultureReview, not Pop Culture Review, because that is too many characters for Twitter. That is 16, and they only let you have 15. So I had to adjust it. It is at Pop Culture Review. That's me. On Instagram at pop_culture_review. And every day we're bringing you the latest news on what to watch tonight on television and any other kind of pop culture news that we think you should know about. Let's get right to our picks for this Thursday night. Actually, a pretty good night of TV. We have a couple of premieres. We have Gotham season premiere. This is season 5. It is their final season. Everything I've heard, I have not yet seen any episodes for the season, but everything I've heard from people who know say that it's just balls out crazy. This is the season where you're going to see the Dark Knight rise, not to quote the movie. The villains are just even crazier than they are typically in the show. They've just let nothing on the table. It's all free for all this whole season. It should be great. I've been a fan of Gotham since season 1. Fell off in season 2, came back to it in like the middle of season 3. Have really enjoyed the ride ever since. A lot of shows, I think, once they kind of stop caring about whether or not they should or should not do something, and they just kind of throw caution to the wind. I find a lot of times that works, especially in the superhero genre. The crazier, the better usually pays off, and I think Gotham is definitely one of those shows. That's one of the grandfathers of the superhero genre. Not quite as old as Arrow, but older than almost every other superhero show on TV. So it's an interesting thing to see how it's evolved. I'm excited for it. Can't wait to see that. That's 8 o'clock. That's our top pick to watch tonight at 8 o'clock. Also at 8 o'clock is the Titan Games. This is one of those reality athletic shows that we like to delve in every now and then, like American Ninja Warrior. Apparently The Rock is hosting this. Well, not apparently, he is. The Rock is hosting this one. They pit, normal people against quote unquote Titans, and the aim of the game is to compete against other regular humans, and then I guess you get to go up against a Titan for a big prize. Tonight is their series premiere. It goes from 8 to 10. Our third spot is Top Chef. If you're a fan of Top Chef, they're in the middle of Restaurant Wars. They did Restaurant Wars earlier in their season than they normally do. This is week 2 of Restaurant Wars. That is at 8 o'clock, which I believe is a time change. 9 o'clock, we're excited about this. Our other top pick tonight is The Orville, settling into its normal time slot. The new season 2 premiered Sunday after football, I believe it was, and really enjoyed that. It was the Jaloja episode. Basically, here's the Orville. Here's the Orville in a nutshell. Seth MacFarlane leads a crew of miscreants and misfits. It's very Seth MacFarlane humor. If you like Family Guy, you will love this show. It's Family Guy meets Star Trek, but much better than that. It's actually a really entertaining show, a very funny show. Again, no, if you like Seth MacFarlane, if you love Seth MacFarlane, you're going to love The Orville. If you don't, you will not like this show. That being said, season 2 began Sunday. This is episode 2 of the season, but this is its normal day and time. So this is where you're going to see it week to week for the rest of the season. So that's our top pick to watch. Jumping into the 10 o'clock hour, our top pick for 10 o'clock tonight is, there's a couple of choices here that I know people will like, but for us, we're going to go with The Blacklist. This is season 6. Yeah, it's the season 6 premiere. I've been a fan of The Blacklist since the beginning. It's like many of its longtime fans. It's had its ups and downs. I was always a big Tom Keane fan. I'm glad to see Ryan Eggold kicking ass over on New Amsterdam, one of our favorite new shows of the fall. But you still have Elizabeth, you still have Reddington, and they are back for the new season. So that kicks off tonight at 10 o'clock. The other big scripted drama that's returning tonight from its winter break is SWAT on CBS at 10 o'clock. I know a lot of people like that. They like that they're Shamar Moore. Yeah, SWAT's fine. I like SWAT. SWAT is fine. I watch it if there's nothing else on. week to week. I'm not a big procedural cop show guy. It's also, I'm not actually a big medical show guy for the same reason. If just there's too much good TV for me to really get into week to week shows. SWAT is better than most of those, and I think interesting. I like the action in it. I like Shamar Moore. I think he's great in the show. So that would be my second pick at 10 o'clock. But for me, I'm going to be going with the Blacklist. Moving on to some news. There's actually a bunch of stuff that came out yesterday. Two sad things. We lost two very famous people, especially if you were a child of the 80s. Mean Gene Okerlund, who was a longtime WWF back in the day, now WWE. He was an announcer. He was a wrestler earlier in his career. He was a man who made his career kind of being like straight man, bringing like the straight man legitimacy to the insanity that is professional wrestling. If you look up any clips of him, he was wearing his red or black bow tie, dressed up like he was at a high prize like boxing fight like back in the day, but it was wrestling. You see him talking to the Ultimate Warrior or Hulk Hogan or Macho Man Randy Savage, and trying to ask legitimate questions that a real interviewer would ask, but then it would always be insanity because these cartoon characters that were professional wrestlers would break out around him. So he died yesterday. He was 76 years old. Very sad. The other passing was Bob Einstein, who people today would know more as Marty Funkhauser on Curb Your Enthusiasm. He's been a recurring character on Curb since Curb began, a decade ago. I know him as Super Dave Osborne. This was a show, I feel like it was on Showtime, Super Dave, where Bob Einstein played the character of Super Dave Osborne, a stuntman who's, boasted to be one of the world's best stuntmen, kind of like an Evel Knievel type. And every episode basically was a build-up to whatever his big stunt would be, jumping something on his Super Dave bike or doing some kind of crash test thing in a car. The payoff always was the stunt never went right. He always got he never actually got hurt. He always walked away, but it was always a disastrous ending. His motorcycle would wind up in a big ball of fire, or he would get. I think if you look at my Twitter yesterday, I posted a famous ending he did for King of the Road, where he's playing piano on top of a moving truck, and they go through a tunnel, and he ends up getting smashed, and the piano gets smashed, and because they can't clear the tunnel. The typical Super Dave always ended with him failing, but he was always an optimist and a very funny guy. He had recently been diagnosed with cancer. As far as I know, they hadn't released yesterday if the cancer was related to his death or just coincidental timing or a complication thereof. But I know it was something that recently came out. So our thoughts and prayers with his family. A lot of outpouring on Twitter and social media from celebrities and other people that knew him and loved him. Really funny guy, gone from the world. So, rest in peace, Bob Einstein and Mean Gene Okerlund. Both of them being 76. I looked it up. It was weird. Their birthdays were only like a month apart, born in 1942. So weird. Numbers came out yesterday, some box office numbers. This one is from Devin Coggan at EW. She writes, Disney had a big 2018, and its 2019 will be even bigger. In a year that included Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War, and Incredibles 2, the studio set a new domestic box office record, taking in $3.092 billion, over $3 billion in 2018. Globally, it earned $7.325 billion, the second biggest global total ever, and just behind 2016's record-setting Disney Haul of $7.605 billion. So not their biggest year, but very close globally to their biggest year ever. Over $7 billion earned by Disney movies. The fact is, Disney just owns all of the IP. Basically almost every. I think I looked at a chart. 5 of the top 10 movies released in 2018, box office wise, are Disney or Disney Marvel or a Marvel property owned by another studio that Disney gets a profit from. It's just insane. So just to give you an idea, Infinity War grossed over $2 billion globally. Black Panther grossed $1.347 billion. Those two movies alone, I mean, that accounts for, almost half of their entire worldwide take. It also puts Infinity War and Black Panther as two of the 10 highest grossing films of all time, not just for inflation. Incredibles 2 earned $1.24 billion worldwide, actually not that far behind Black Panther. Ant-Man and the Wasp earned $623 million. Just insane. Disney is an unstoppable power. And now with them buying Fox, which if you follow comic books or superhero movies, you'll know is the home of things like the X-Men, Fantastic Four, Deadpool. But they have Dark Phoenix and New Mutants under the Fox banner coming out this year. So it's interesting to see if those will be rebranded as Disney movies or will release as Fox movies. Those are both new entries in the X-Men universe. That deal is supposed to be closing actually pretty much any day now, the merger of Fox into Disney, for Fox Studios into Disney. So it'll be interesting to see how that affects their 2019. And Disney having a 2019 that's already chock full of slated movies under its banner. You have the live action Dumbo, you have the live action Aladdin, you have Toy Story 4, that's to say nothing of the superhero movies. You have Captain Marvel, you've got Avengers Endgame, you have Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man 2 with Tom Holland, which is actually a Sony movie, but in association with Marvel. So Disney will get a cut of that. You have Star Wars Episode 9 releasing at Christmas time. And I know there's more. Those are just the ones that kind of pop off immediately to mind. So, the Disney juggernaut is not going away anytime soon. So I hope you guys like Disney movies. This didn't affect my life at all, but I figured I would mention it since it was a big deal yesterday. Carrie Ann Inaba, who fans of Dancing with the Stars would know as one of the judges pretty much since that show's inception. She took over as Julie Chen's official replacement on The Talk yesterday. The search for a replacement for Julie Chen had been ongoing for a while. I believe Carrie Ann had guest hosted a couple times, but she made her official debut as the new co-host of The Talk yesterday. So congratulations to her. And hopefully that show goes well. I don't watch any of the morning talk shows. I'm at work normally. So it's not really my thing, but I know there are a lot of people that care about that. So there you go. Congratulations, Carrie Ann Inaba. For Big Bang Theory, this was news that broke yesterday afternoon. Actors Cal Penn and Sean Astin. Cal Penn you'll know from House, Harold and Kumar movies. I think right now he's a designated survivor, or was before just jumping to Netflix. I don't know if he's going to continue on that. Sean Astin you'll know from Stranger Things most recently. He's Samwise Gamgee from Lord of the Rings, for you more nerdy types out there. The Cal Penn and Sean Astin are joining Big Bang Theory in its final season. They're going to play two scientists who are on the team working with Sheldon and Amy on their asymmetry theory. So that was announced yesterday. So a little stunt casting for Big Bang Theory as it continues on in its final season. And we have one item left. This is an Aquaman box office number. So I was talking about Aquaman yesterday a little bit, and I know people really like Aquaman on social media. I like Aquaman fine. I want to make it clear, like, I enjoyed Aquaman as a movie, but I didn't think it was a masterpiece of theater. I thought it was a good origin story. I thought it was an interesting, did a good job of world building. I like movies that have rules and set out past histories and world build, set up mythology, set up lore. And Aquaman spent a lot of time doing that. So I appreciated the movie from that. Little hokey in parts, but overall it was fine. It was fine. It was better than most of the DC movies that come out. It wasn't as good as Wonder Woman, but it was better than a lot of the other stuff DC has put out. But what the hell do I know? I like Suicide Squad, so I don't know that you should take my I don't know if you should take my reviews on DC movies. Anyway, Aquaman has become a juggernaut. So internationally, it crossed $600 million after Tuesday's New Year's Day haul. It's 600 million internationally. It's over 822 million, almost 823 million dollars total. That's with domestic of over $200 million, and then the $600 million offshore. The prediction puts it past $900 million easily, probably by the end of this coming weekend. So the question now is, does Aquaman reach $1 billion? It's already past Wonder Woman. It's already past almost all of the DC movies. The question is, if it hits $1 billion global, then it's going to be a question of whether or not it matches The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises, the only other DC superhero movies that have crossed that $1 billion threshold. Superhero movies sell. They do well. They do well internationally. That's why you see these kinds of huge numbers. I mean, they do well domestically. Don't get me wrong. But international audiences, especially Asian audiences, tend to gobble up the superhero movies. They like the concept. The concept resonates with them. The rules, the action, all studies say just resonate well with the fans overseas. Aquaman actually hasn't even opened in Japan yet. It wouldn't open in Japan until February. I think February 8th, I read. So Aquaman is going to be making money for quite a while. Go see it, definitely. Go see Bumblebee too. I think Bumblebee is worth your time, especially if you grew up with Transformers in the 80s. This is the Bumblebee you were waiting for. This is the one that I think most resembles the fun you had with your toys when you were a kid. So that is it for me today. Tomorrow is Friday. So we'll be talking movies coming out that weekend, what you guys are looking at. We'll take a little glimpse into the weekend. We have the Golden Globes coming up this weekend. And we'll be talking normal Friday TV, which, is hit and miss at this time of year. So this has been Pop Culture Review presents the Daily Download. I am Mike. I have been, and I continue to will be. I'm at, you can find me online at Twitter at PopCultureReview, on Instagram at pop_culture_review, or just go to popculturereview.com. Every day we post our what to watch. We post TV recaps. We post love it or leave it reviews. Just one snap that shows that we won't cover week to week, but shows whether or not we think it's worth your time to watch. We do a bunch of other things too. So give us a shout out over there. And if you like this video, give it a like on YouTube, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get a notice when a new video posts. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.